Hello, and welcome back to A Real Horror Show. And in today's video, I've got something very special to showcase to you guys. As inside this box right here, I have the newest addition to my horror collection. The brand new and long awaited Mondo 1/6 scale figure of R.J MacReady from John Carpenter's 1982 classic, The Thing, which is an absolute masterpiece and probably one of the most loved films in the entire horror genre. I actually pre-ordered this figure the day it went up for sale on the Mondo website, which happened to be Halloween, and I've been waiting in absolute anticipation for its arrival ever since. It's safe to say I'm extremely eager to get this guy unboxed. Also, as you can see here, this is the timed edition of this collectible, and this was available to purchase for only a 10-day window between October the 31st and the 10th of November, which means that this release comes with some extremely gnarly and very exciting extras. After seeing Mondo's official product images of this guy, as well as the bonus features that come with the timed release, combined with the fact that this is the first time we're getting an official 1/6 scale figure of R.J MacReady, played of course by the legend that is Kurt Russell, this became an instant day one pre-order for me. And it's safe to say that this figure has a lot of hype that it needs to live up to. Now, if you're a big horror movie fan or a horror collector yourself, or you just love all things nerdy, please consider slashing that subscribe button, as this is definitely the place for you. And don't forget to leave a like on this video and a comment down below telling me your thoughts on this action figure. And also tell me who you think was the thing at the end of the movie. There's a lot of theories and discussions of that topic online. I'd like to know what you guys think. Now, without further ado, let's get this thing opened. Okay, so first things first, I've got to say that Mondo did a fantastic job of packaging up this collectible. I especially appreciate the addition of these little corner pieces inside the cardboard box that he came in to protect all the edges of the box. And yeah, so let's take a close look at this packaging. As we can see, the box comes in this very sleek looking slipcover that displays that iconic and famous The Thing logo, and this should just slip right off, I think. And here we have the main box packaging itself. And the first impressions are, this is looking extremely promising. I'm assuming that the front of the box art is the kennels of Outpost 31. On the side we can see more artwork displaying barrels in a corridor of Outpost 31 with the Thing logo and R.J MacReady, as well as the Mondo logo at the bottom. On the back we've got the credits of everyone who worked on this figure, as well as an artist rendition of the crew of Outpost 31 discovering the crashed alien spaceship as seen early on in the film. The other side of the box is the exact same as the first, and on top we have the Thing logo and again R.J MacReady. Also on the front of the packaging in the bottom corner we have this silver sticker, this metallic silver sticker of the Mondo logo, and it says a Mondo Exclusive because this is the exclusive timed edition. So let's open this up and see what's inside. Whoa, holy shit, oh my god, that's incredible. Try and get a better shot of this. This box is so big I'm probably not even getting it on the camera, and I'm trying to see it for myself for the first time. Wow. Okay, well, I've got to say it's a 10 out of 10 for the box art department, that's for sure. That's absolutely incredible. So yes, I was correct that the front of the box art is the kennels, as we see this absolute mess that is the Thing, the alien taking the dog form at the start of the film out of the kennels. A fantastic artist rendition of Stan Winston's incredible special effects work in that scene of the film. And I've got to say to Mondo, I've got to give credit where credit's due. The amount of effort that they've done with this is just, I mean, that is insane. The 3D pop-out effect is just, again, it's just incredible. They've really gone far and beyond with the packaging here. This is extremely promising, and yeah, this has got to be some of the best action figure or collectible box packaging I've ever seen. Yeah, this is just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And of course in the middle we have Kurt Russell himself in there. So anyway, I'm going to get him fully unboxed now, and we'll get a closer look at the figure and all the accessories, and yeah, we'll get a closer look and talk about him. And I did forget to mention that the front flaps of this packaging are metallic sealed, kind of like what we saw with the Dr. Loomis figure from Trick or Treat Studios that I took a look at in one of my recent previous videos. Again, another tiny detail, but very much appreciated. We've got that fresh figure smell. You guys know the one. We love that fresh figure smell. Anyway, let's get him out. Okay, I've got to say this is quite a beefy box. It's actually quite bigger than I expected it to be initially. And I do assume that the regular edition of this figure will come in the same box, but I guess it makes sense for it to be a bit of a beefy box, since this is again that exclusive edition with the exclusive extras. Holy shit. Okay, this is really cool. This is looking amazing so far. This is a truly epic release right here. Like, this is looking just... I can't even explain it, but I will say the excitement is real. Okay, so there is a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to get everything out of all its plastic, get it on the table, and then we'll start looking at the accessories. Okay, so as I was saying, this is an extremely epic release, as you guys can see. I mean, just look at how much content comes with MacReady. I have got to say that in the previous couple of days, I have seen some posts about this figure online, and people definitely have mixed feelings on this figure. And from some photos that I saw, I began to become kind of worried about this figure, about how it was going to turn out. But I have got to say, this looks incredible. But we'll get more into that later on in detail. So I just want to begin by looking at the accessories that come with the figure, then we'll look at the exclusive bonus content of the timed edition, and finally the figure of MacReady himself. So to start things off, MacReady comes with a classic black display base. I guess one negative you could say about the figure is the fact that there is nothing on this display base whatsoever, not even a logo of the thing or even the name R.J MacReady, nothing. It's very bare bones, very basic, but I will say I'm extremely happy that he at least comes with a display base, because quite a lot of 6 scale figures actually don't come with anything at all. A good example of that would be the Trick or Treat Studios Dr. Loomis figure and the 3-0 Leatherface that I both have in my detailed cabinet. Speaking of this release coming with a ridiculous amount of content, which we love, and by the way, once again, I know I've said it a million times guys, but this does look amazing. My girlfriend just said to me, where the hell am I actually going to put this thing? And honestly, I don't have a clue, but I'm gonna make it work. So when it comes to the hands that come with this figure, we have 2 hands that are a trigger finger, and we also have 2 hands that are just holding hands, which are for holding the flamethrower accessory and also the pump action shotgun. The figure itself in its default form right out of the packaging also has 2 pair of hands, which are clenched fists. And yeah, I've got to say that they're not the highest of quality of hands in terms of the paint applications. The paint application on these hands are very basic, but they get the job done nonetheless. But of course I understand, and with many things that I'll probably be talking about today, a lot of 1/6 scale collectors are die-hard and hardcore when it comes to attention to detail, which is fair enough considering how much these collectibles and higher end pieces cost, and the fact that companies like Hot Toys and stuff can do such incredible and intricate pieces of work when it comes to sculpting and paint apps and detailing and the rest of it. So obviously all complaints are valid, and I understand where people will be coming from with that, but for me it works just fine. The last pair of hands that MacReady comes with are actually 2 black gloves, and these are just open palm hands. I think these are a much better alternative to the clenched fists myself. And again, the paint job is fairly basic to say the least. There's a tiny bit of weathering on there and some spickles of paint, but otherwise very basic, but they look just fine. And of course MacReady comes with a handful of weapons, including a pistol and a shotgun. So looking first at the shotgun, I've got to say that the paint apps on this is actually really nice. The wood grain effect is quite nice, as is the paint job on the metallic parts of this weapon. And although this is a pump action shotgun, the pump itself actually does not move whatsoever, so it is just one solid piece. Now coming to MacReady's revolver, similar to the shotgun, it has very nice little intricate details, especially on the handle. It has got a really nice texture on the grip, which is very realistic. And I guess one thing that the revolver has over the shotgun is the fact that the barrel does spin, which again reminds me of the Trick or Treat Studios Dr. Loomis figure. A tiny detail, but these are the things that matter. And the final accessory that MacReady comes with is, of course, his trusty flamethrower. And this is without a doubt the standout accessory that comes with this whole release, besides the bonus content, which I'll get to next. Overall, this flamethrower is extremely well detailed and very well sculpted as well. And as you can see, there is a fair bit of weathering in the paint application, especially on the canisters on the back and on the nozzle. The nozzle is connected to the main canisters with this very flexible rubber wire, and the straps that go around MacReady's arms are not actually plastic pieces but are real webbing material, which is really nice. And they are also attached to the flamethrower by real metal hooks. But Mondo did not stop there when it comes to this flamethrower, as also included is this actual flame piece that attaches to the nozzle. And I've got to say that the flame piece looks actually really good. It looks like it's made from two different colors of resin, and of course it is somewhat translucent to really sell that it's that flame effect. The light bounces off it very well, and there's all different shades of paint going on here, and overall it looks really good. The flame piece fits very snugly into the nozzle, and then you can have MacReady ready to blast away the alien terror. Okay guys, so before we take a look at MacReady himself, we're going to take a look at what I think is the highlight of this release, the exclusive bonus content from the timed edition. And I've got to say that I really like the fact that Mondo did this as a timed edition instead of a numbered exclusive. So it gave everyone a chance to get this timed release if they really wanted it. I overall think it's a lot more fair, but I will also say that compared to the standard release of just MacReady on his own, I think these two elements that come with this timed edition are absolutely essential. And it is two accessories of the thing itself. Starting with this extremely gnarly figure of the dog thing. And honestly, this thing in person looks just as grotesque as it did on the screen. The detailing here is just marvelous, and overall it's just an extremely gross display piece. Just like in the film, there's multiple different legs and tentacles and other things just coming out of absolutely everywhere. And I really like the paint and the varnish on this, making this guy look extremely slimy. But I will say, for people and artists who like to customize 1/6 scale figures, it might be a great idea to add your own extra gore to this piece to really replicate this grotesque look from the film. I also think that this guy would look amazing in a diorama display, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be doing that with this figure. One last detail is the fact that on the bottom of this we have the Mondo logo, which isn't an issue whatsoever because there's no way that you'll ever see that while it's on display. And now we have, without a doubt, my favorite accessory that comes with this entire release, and it's none other than the absolutely iconic Norris spider head.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
When it comes to having a MacReady figure or any figure from John Carpenter's The Thing, I feel like this piece in particular is absolutely essential. Such an iconic bit of imagery from that movie, and honestly one of my favourite on-screen monsters, created by the extremely talented Rob Bottin, who did such a remarkable job with his special effects work on The Thing. Genuinely a thing of legend. And Mondo have done a fantastic job of recreating that Norris head in such gnarly detail. The sculpting work is absolutely fantastic on both the face, the hair and the legs, which by the way are articulated and can move up and down as you please. Once again, I feel like this is absolutely essential and propels this figure to a whole different level. On top of that, this will also make for an amazing display piece, especially in, again, a diorama display. I guess the only negative side is that on the back of the head, I feel like there should be an open wound with the green ooze coming out. I have a replica myself of the Norris head in 1:1 scale, and that does show the whole open wound of where the neck used to be 3 with the green slime and goo and everything coming out. You guys remember that part of the film. It's the most iconic and grotesque part. Definitely one of the greatest examples of body horror in the entire genre. And that is something that is missing from this, and I'm actually surprised that they managed to miss that out. But nonetheless, it doesn't detract from the fact that this does look absolutely incredible and is a fantastic accessory to this whole set. And also, I guess if you have this guy on display, you're only really going to see him from the front anyway. But of course, that is no excuse for missing out a detail on a high-end, premium price sort of action figure. So now we've got all the accessories out of the way, it's time to look at Kurt Russell as R.J MacReady himself. And I guess we'll start with this alternate head sculpt for MacReady. And I've got to say, right off the bat, this has an insanely good likeness to Kurt Russell. I mean, the sculpting here is just spot on. And again, I saw a lot of photos of this figure online in the past couple of days, and I really don't think any of those online images really do this guy enough justice. I don't know what it is, but it seems like whenever a new action figure or release comes out, people always take the worst possible photos of things and post them online first. Whether taking them too close with a phone, giving it that whole distorted look to the head sculpts, or in really bad lighting, it happens all the time. But I will say to anyone who has been put off from ordering this figure, if you haven't ordered him already, there is honestly nothing to worry about in terms of the sculpt, because it is spot on. And hopefully in this video I will get some better shots and images and truly show this figure for what it is. I've also seen people complain about the paint applications, and yes, although it is a more basic paint application, it is still a really good one. It's really hard to say a bad thing about this piece. I also love the added details of snow in the beard. If I can say anything about this alternate head sculpt, I will say I wish there was more snow details, since that is the look that Mondo is going for, and I think MacReady could have been caked in a bit more snow in the paint application. We do see some in the hair, but not so much, mainly just in the beard section. But again, if you like to customize your 1/6 scale figures, then that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Also, the hair is quite long and quite big, and I've also seen people kind of complain about that, but it was 1982 after all, and I think that this is just how it looks in the film to me. But overall, I really cannot fault Mondo with their sculpting work on this. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the best sculpt of MacReady or Kurt Russell in general that we've seen yet. And again, people have said that this looks like an oversized NECA figure, and I've got to say, of course, I completely disagree with that, because this definitely shouts out Kurt Russell's likeness to me. And as much as I love NECA, and I absolutely love their MacReady figures, those NECA figures do have a slight look of, I don't know, Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees. But this is just a pure likeness to Kurt Russell as he appears in The Thing. So again, if you are worried about picking up this guy because of the sculpt, I would not let that deter you from getting him whatsoever. So now coming to the main figure itself, I will do what I have done in previous unboxing videos and do the whole face sculpt reveal. So yeah, let's take a look at the main head sculpt. Alright, so once again, just like the alternate head sculpt we just took a look at, this once again has a fantastic likeness to Kurt Russell for all the same reasons. And I've got to give credit where credit's due, because I don't think the credit has been given enough, but even the facial expression really screams Kurt Russell in The Thing. They've just really captured the essence of that character in the snarl of the mouth, and especially with the whole eye section. I honestly think they've got this head sculpt pretty much spot on. So now we're going to take a look at the real meat and potatoes of this release and actually look at the figure of MacReady itself. So as you can see, I've got MacReady here on his display base, and my initial thoughts are he looks fantastic. Another thing that I had worries about was the actual proportions of the figure, but having the figure in hand and hopefully it's reflecting well on the camera, the proportions are absolutely spot on. There is no problem with them whatsoever. I also decided to remove MacReady's iconic jacket, because this jacket is something that I do want to talk a little bit about soon, and also I want to show off his flight suit. And to take a closer look at the flight suit itself, I feel like this is where the figure really shows off the incredible tailoring work that's gone into it. This flight suit is tailored around the body so well and is just full of nice little details. The stitching work in particular is really, really good. But I also love how they've included these these little strips of like metallic fabric like you see on a high-vis jacket, and it is a reflective material, and that is a really nice and very much appreciated touch. And as we can see underneath the flight suit, we have the base layer of MacReady's whole costume, which is a white shirt and a grey jumper. Now this is where one of the biggest issues comes with this release, and if you're a fan of The Thing, I'm sure you've probably already noticed it, and it's the fact that MacReady does not come with his blue hoodie. I'm not sure fully why Mondo decided not to include this part of MacReady's outfit. I'm sure they have their reasons, but it is something that I noticed pretty much right away when taking this guy out of the packaging. I guess an almost silver lining to the fact he doesn't have the hoodie as well is the fact that this figure is already pretty bulky when it comes to the tailoring, and this is where this jacket comes in. For starters, I don't think this jacket is completely accurate to what we see on screen in the movie, and again, for the hardcore sort of 1/6 scale collectors who really look for perfection, as we all should do once again with figures that cost a good chunk of money, this will probably be the biggest problem with the whole release. Now, I don't have a massive issue with this jacket per se. I think the cut on it is very nice. It hangs down on the figure just about where it hangs down on Kurt Russell as we see in the film, and I do like how they've put this white fur lining on the inside to give that kind of idea that the whole jacket is lined with that white fur. That's a nice detail and it is something that is accurate to the real jacket. But the real big issue for me is that the jacket is just really bulky, especially in the shoulder section, and that's something that you'll see in this video when I put this jacket back on MacReady. This also brings me to the point of articulation and posability for the figure. I don't know what it is about the figure body that Mondo have used here, and I will be honest with you guys, I'm not so well schooled in the department of 1/6 scale figures. I have a few, but I know there's so many 1/6 scale collectors out there, hardcore 1/6 scale collectors, and they know so much more than me when it comes to the quality of the different figure bodies. I only know just a little bit of information about that entire world of collecting, but I will say that the figure does feel quite stiff in the joints. You might even be able to hear it maybe if the mic's picking that up, but it is quite stiff. The big issue here again is I cannot get these arms down. I simply can't get both of these arms down. That's as far as it'll go, and this one gets a bit closer to the body than this one, but yeah, it's hard to get them any more further down than that. So that definitely loses points in terms of its articulation and the possibility of the different poses that you could do with this guy. It definitely limits that. Also, the articulation as far as 1/6 scale figures go, I assume it is somewhat basic. It would be nice to have a double jointed elbow like I've seen many modern 1/6 scale figures have. So I guess besides the jacket, the big issue is probably the body. It might not be such an issue for me, and I'm sure that me as well as everyone else who has this figure will find their own way of posing MacReady and making this work in terms of how he holds his accessories and overall the final display. But nonetheless, the body is a bit of a pain in the arse. In fact, it definitely makes him do this sort of strongman, or it's like a Superman-esque pose, you know? I mean, look at that. That's like MacReady the superhero. It's more Christopher Reeve than it is Kurt Russell. And at first I thought it was because of this jacket and the shoulders, and again you'll see the figure with this jacket on and the bulky shoulders. I thought that the extra fabric and material was stopping these arms from going down, but after taking this bulky jacket off, as you can see, the arms still aren't going down. It's definitely not bunching up on the flight suit, so I don't really know what's going on there, to be honest. But besides the arms, there is of course articulation in the boots, at least they swing from side to side. There is also articulation in the legs, which can bend quite a far ways back. I can get mine to about just over a 90-degree angle. The top of the legs also swing up and down and bend outwards as well. There is a turn in the torso and a body crunch as well, and the head is also on a ball joint. But just remember, because of the sheer amount of hair on Kurt Russell's head, and of course that tight tailoring, especially on the flight suit, which collar goes underneath the hair on the head sculpt, there is limited posability when it comes to swinging his head left and right, but you probably won't have the figure any other way anyway. We can also see here MacReady's belt, which is again very well tailored. It's like a fake leather sort of material, and the revolver fits into the attached holster very nicely. And I did mention earlier about the missing blue hoodie, but I've also just come to realize there has been a missed opportunity with Mondo here in the fact that I think they should have included MacReady's iconic hat as well as his goggles too. And I think that many fans of the movie will also be echoing that same sentiment. But one thing that I really wish that Mondo would have included, and I should have mentioned this in the accessories section of this video, but it would have been really cool to have MacReady come with that little 𝙎𝙬𝙎𝙀𝙀𝙀 whiskey ball. I think if anything is missing from this release besides the blue hoodie, it's definitely the whiskey bowl. I mean, how is he going to beat the computer at chess now? Oh, and a blood test sample. They should have included one of the blood test samples, but anyway, coming back to the main figure, the last thing I really want to mention here is the boots. And again, much like the rest of the figure, the boots are nicely detailed but have a rather basic paint application, which I guess we have come to expect, but look absolutely great nonetheless. It's also surprised me that the laces on this are like a rubber material, which is good because they won't snap off and break, so that's also very much appreciated. So, in conclusion, I've got to say that I'm extremely happy and ridiculously impressed with this release from Mondo. Like I've said throughout this video, when I saw the initial photos going up online of this figure, I got slightly worried about getting back home and unboxing this guy, but I've got to say I could not be happier. Besides missing a few bits and pieces, and I don't want to sound ungrateful by the way, because this set does come with a lot. As you can see, this is truly an ultimate and epic release, especially considering the bonus content of the dog thing and the Norris spider head. So I don't want to sound greedy, but I guess all in all I have very little complaints about this guy. And again, for those collectors out there who strive for absolute perfection, with a few tweaks here and there, whether that's from replacing this jacket with a new one, or even editing the tailoring on it and making it more accurate, or adding weathering details to the clothing and the accessories like the revolver and the shotgun. And we can't forget adding more gore details with the dog thing. There's no doubt that you can absolutely achieve perfection with this set. And again, I'm not someone who wants to make excuses for anything. You know, those issues are here with this figure, and everyone who has made a complaint is completely valid. Although I will argue against the point of the head sculpt being off, or if anyone's saying that, I really don't think so. I don't agree with that. I think Mondo have done an exceptional job with the head sculpt on this and the overall likeness to the great Kurt Russell. So all complaints are absolutely valid and I completely understand them. But it is safe to say that although this is the only 1/6 scale MacReady figure, at least official, it is an extremely impressive and good looking release. And again, the addition of the Thing creatures is just absolutely marvelous. I mean, some people pay a lot of money in the collecting community for 1/6 scale replicas or pieces of just this Norris head, for example, and you get it all here, from the flamethrower to the guns, and I mean just the detailing and tailoring on the suit, the whole outfit of MacReady. It's all here, bar a blue hoodie and a whiskey bowl, especially the whiskey bowl. And I think when you buy something, especially a premium collectible or something with a higher price tag, you shouldn't really have to make adjustments to it, and that is a completely valid complaint, and I'm with you on that. It should come looking perfect. But at the end of the day, this is a mass-produced item, and I've seen a lot more high-end, high-priced premium collectibles from different companies, and I'm especially talking about statues and those kind of high-end pieces that cost thousands that look way worse than this. So keeping that in mind and looking at the whole spectrum of the collecting world, this guy to me is not a disappointment whatsoever. And I think if you're a massive fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, or you're just a Kurt Russell fan, or a horror fan and a collector or whatever, I wouldn't let anything like that, especially the likeness to the head sculpt as I said earlier, put you off from picking up this guy. It's just a shame that you can no longer get your hands on the timed edition, and I believe that this set is going for crazy amounts of money online right now, as to be expected unfortunately. But even without that, and although I think that these guys are essential and make for just, I mean, you know this is going to make an epic display, I still think that the base figure alone is more than worth picking up, especially again if you're a fan of the film and a horror collector. And now this has definitely got me tempted to pick up their upcoming John Narda figure, which looks also really good. and I'm also extremely excited to see what Mondo come out with in the future. There's so much to unpackage here with this figure and so much to talk about with the sheer amount of accessories and everything that comes with this set. I probably missed out some bits and pieces and all that kind of stuff, but I will end this video by leaving you guys with some shots of this figure with all the accessories and the thing creatures included, and hopefully the shots that I get and present to you will show this figure for what it really is and how good he truly looks. Once again, let me know in the comments below your guys' thoughts and feelings on this Mondo 1/6 scale MacReady figure from The Thing. I also want to say I've got a lot of content coming your guys' way. I've got some great video ideas. So again, make sure you slash that subscribe button if you haven't already. I hope all you guys are well, and until next time, take care.